Northern Ireland Secretary Peter Hain has challenged unionist politicians and the Orange Order to condemn the violence and rioting in Belfast and surrounding towns that left 32 police officers injured. In Northern Ireland's worst night of violence in many years, Loyalist gunmen opened fire on police and soldiers, and security service vehicles were bombed. The confrontation arose when Orangemen were banned from marching through a Catholic area. Northern Ireland's Chief Constable said they bore substantial responsibility for the disorder, as Victoria MacDonald reports.
The worst violence seen in Belfast for a long time. Petrol and pipe bombs were used, and at the height of the riots, Loyalist gunmen opened fire on the police. Cars were hijacked and buildings set alight.
Officers were shot at last night. It is lucky, we are very lucky, we do not have dead officers this morning. It's a tribute to the way they responded, it's a tribute to their tactics, and it's a tribute to the Land Rovers that took an awful lot of the impact of those rounds. But they were shot at by paramilitary groups from the Loyalist side.
He said it was unique for officers in Northern Ireland to come under live fire in a public order situation. The trouble erupted yesterday afternoon after the White Rock Orange Order march was rerouted by the Parades Commission to stop it going through a Catholic area. But tensions have been brewing in the province for weeks, with sectarian attacks on both sides of the divide throughout the summer. The parade's diversion was just a catalyst.
I was out until late last night in these working class areas, and I represent them, so I know basically what's going on, and there is a growing disenchantment with civic society in general, and the parade was a catalyst for that. This wasn't about the parade, it's a wider issue than that. And unless we're prepared to address some of the social and economic issues, along with the other issues of alienation that these people feel, this may not be the last problems we see over the next coming months.
But today, the Northern Ireland Secretary Peter Hain challenged the Orange Order and unionist politicians to condemn the violence, while the Chief Constable, Sir Hugh Orde, said the Orange Order must bear substantial responsibility because they had appealed for supporters to protest over the rerouted parade. The parade started on the Shankill. It should then have gone down the Springfield Road, but was diverted. By early evening, the West Circular Road was the centre of the violence, while barricades were also set up in the north on the Crumlin Road and at the city centre's Shaftesbury Square. The trouble spread throughout the region, with Loyalists either blocking roads or throwing petrol bombs. 32 police officers were injured and 2 civilians are in hospital, one of them with gunshot wounds. A bomb factory was later discovered, according to the police, and 7 weapons recovered in North Belfast, the scene of some of the worst violence. The fallout will go on for days, if not weeks. Peter Hain will meet the Chief Constable tomorrow, while the Orange Order and the Unionists are demanding explanations for what they describe as heavy-handed police tactics.
Well, a little earlier I spoke to the Chief Constable of Northern Ireland, Sir Hugh Orde, and I asked him if he believed the violence had been premeditated.
This was absolutely pre-planned. You do not have hundreds of petrol bombs available. We have recovered 7 sidearms from a Loyalist estate. We have uncovered a bomb factory from a Loyalist estate. We have uncovered blast bombs. These are like hand grenades. Many tens or maybe hundreds were thrown at police officers yesterday. These things kill people.
And the Loyalist paramilitaries were responsible for all of that?
Yes, without a doubt. We have substantial footage. Indeed, we have shown journalists today privately footage of gunmen opening fire, consciously aiming at police and opening fire. We have shown the journalists Land Rovers, one of which was hit by 50 rounds. That was the level of violence my officers came under, and as did the soldiers. Their response, in my judgment, and I was there all day, was professional, it was competent, and it was proportionate to the threat. The police ombudsman will be investigating the use of impact rounds and the use of live rounds. My officers had to return live fire to defend themselves, but I am confident the outcome of that will be positive. My officers, I described them yesterday as heroes, and I repeat it today. They acted heroically in the most dangerous public order situation this country has witnessed for many years. You say your officers were returning live fire. Were they shooting live ammunition to kill? They had to return fire when gunmen opened fire on them. They are highly trained officers. The training is clear. We shoot to stop the threat. And so that does mean that they were intending to hit people. It seems amazing that somebody hasn't been killed. It is absolutely amazing that someone hasn't been killed, and it was highly likely, because of the way the attacks took place, it would be a police officer or a soldier that was killed. These brave paramilitaries hid behind walls, opened fire and ran away into their own communities. Nothing heroic in that. My officers were forced to stand their line, to take cover, to protect the wider community in Northern Ireland that had a right to be protected, and they were determined to protect.
Are you saying that the Orange Order premeditated what happened over the last 24 hours?
The Orange Order clearly intended to breach the determination. That meant the march they undertook became illegal. On the back of that activity, substantial disorder took place from the wider Loyalist community. But let's be very clear, it was not my officers that called these people out on the streets. The march was the catalyst. The outcome was predictable. My officers were stuck in the middle of it, and it was my officers that took the brunt of the anger from the Loyalist community, which they ill deserve.
So Hugh